The Light Within by Pharaoh B, narrated by Pharaoh B. Preface. The flame that never died. There was a moment in my life when I felt like I was walking through darkness. No light, no guide. Just an endless stretch of uncertainty that left me questioning everything. Who I was, why I was here, and whether any of it even mattered. I thought I was alone. But one night, in the quiet stillness of that darkness, I felt something stir deep within me. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was barely a flicker, but it was there. A tiny, unwavering flame, glowing faintly in the center of my being. At first, I didn't trust it. How could something so small, so quiet, guide me when the world felt so heavy? But the more I sat with it, the more I realized something profound. That tiny flame wasn't just a light. It was the light. It was mine, and it had been waiting for me all along. That moment changed everything. It didn't make the darkness disappear, but it gave me something greater. Hope. It taught me that the light I had been searching for wasn't outside of me. It was within, and it always had been. This book is the result of that discovery. It's a guide, a companion for those who feel lost, unsure, or restless, just as I once did. It's for anyone who has ever felt the pull toward something greater, but didn't know where to begin. Let this book be your spark, your reminder that the light within you is real, powerful, and infinite. Together, we will uncover it, nurture it, and let it shine brighter than ever before. Dedication to the divine light. To the divine light that lives within each of us. The source of all truth, love, and infinite possibility. You are the spark that ignites our dreams. The flame that guides us through the shadows, the radiance that connects us to one another. May this book honor you. May it remind every soul that your presence is eternal, and may it inspire us all to walk in your glow, unwavering, fearless, and free. Who this book is. For this book is for the seekers, the wanderers, and the dreamers. It's for those who feel the quiet pull of something greater, but can't quite name it. It's for anyone who has ever felt lost in the shadows, searching for a way back to the light. It's for the ones who carry questions like heavy stones. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? It's for those who have faced the weight of resistance, fear, and doubt, but still yearn to move forward. It's for you, the person reading these words right now, because you've already taken the first step simply by being here. You've already felt the spark, the quiet knowing that there is more to this life than what you've been told. This book is your guide, your companion on a journey of awakening. It doesn't promise to give you all the answers, but it will show you the way to uncover them for yourself. If you've ever wondered whether the light within you is real, let this be your answer. It is, and it's waiting for you to claim it. End of introduction. 1. The summons to the light. The weight of the world feels different tonight. Questions I've carried for so long rise to the surface, demanding to be heard. What am I meant to do? Why does it feel like there's something more waiting for me? I sit with these questions, letting the silence settle. Then a voice speaks, not from outside, but from within. Pharaoh, you've felt it all along, haven't you? That pull, that restlessness, it's not a mistake. You are not ordinary, and your life is not meant to be. That feeling you can't ignore is the light within you, calling you to rise. This is your summons to something greater. But the question is, are you ready to answer? I take a deep breath. Doubt creeps in, as it often does. I've asked myself these questions before, and yet the fear remains. I want to believe it, I think. But what if I'm not enough? What if I fail? The voice returns, steady and unwavering. You've carried this weight for years, the knowing that you're meant for more. That weight isn't a curse, it's a gift. Fear is loud, but it's only as strong as you allow it to be. The light within you is stronger. You're stronger. You don't need all the answers right now. You only need to take the first step. I let the words sink in. Could it really be that simple? I've spent so long searching for answers, trying to understand why I feel this pull. But maybe I've been looking in the wrong place. Maybe all I need to do is trust the voice within me. This is where the journey begins, the voice continues. not in certainty, but in courage. The path ahead will challenge you in ways you cannot yet imagine. The battle you're about to face is not with the world, but with yourself. Your doubts, your fears, and every belief that's kept you small. But hear this. You were born for this. The question isn't whether you're enough. It's whether you're willing to begin. I take another deep breath, feeling a flicker of something I haven't felt in a long time. Hope. The path ahead is unknown, but maybe that's okay. Maybe the first step is simply deciding to move forward. So, Pharaoh, the voice says, quieter now, almost a whisper. Are you ready? End of chapter 1. Chapter 2. The first step. I sit in the stillness, replaying the voice's words in my mind. The question isn't whether you're enough, it's whether you're willing to begin. Willing to begin. The thought stirs something deep within me, both fear and resolve. What does it even mean to begin? I ask aloud, though the room remains quiet. But just as before, the voice returns, steady and sure. To begin, Pharaoh, is to listen to the call and take one step toward it. The world will try to convince you to stay still, to cling to comfort. The comfort is not where your light grows. It grows in the stretch, in the unknown, in the places where you trust yourself enough to move, even when you can't see the whole path. Close my eyes and breathe deeply, letting the words take hold. The idea of stepping into the unknown feels overwhelming, like standing at the edge of a vast ocean. But something inside me stirs, a quiet knowing that the voice is right. Comfort has kept me still for too long. Where do I even start? I ask, half hoping for an answer, half doubting one will come. Start where you are, the voice says, as though it can hear my hesitation. The first step doesn't need to be grand, it needs to be honest. What is one thing, Pharaoh, one action, one choice that you can take today to honor the light within you? I think about the question, it feels simple, but not easy. What is one choice I can make? My mind runs through possibilities, but then the voice interrupts. Don't overthink it, it says gently. Your light doesn't demand perfection, it only asks for movement. A single step will create ripples far beyond what you can see. Trust that. I nod, though I'm not entirely sure if it's to myself or the voice. There's a small sense of relief in knowing I don't need to have everything figured out right now. I only need to do one thing, take one step. So Pharaoh, the voice continues, what will it be? Guided reflection. Close your eyes and take 3 slow, deep breaths. Ask yourself, what is one action I can take today to honor the light within me? It might be something small, like speaking a kind word to someone, setting aside time for reflection, or letting go of a fear you've been holding. Whatever it is, write it down. Let this be your first step. The voice fades, leaving me alone once again. But this time, the silence feels different, less like a void, more like a space to breathe, to act, to begin. The battle may lie ahead, but for now I have my first step. Chapter 3. Facing the first fear. As I sit with the choice I've made, a familiar feeling creeps in. Fear. It doesn't roar or shout, it whispers, subtle and persistent. What if you're wrong? What if this doesn't work? What if you fail? The questions wrap themselves around me, tightening like a net. Fear has always been my greatest obstacle, my constant shadow. For a moment I feel frozen, as though taking even one step forward is impossible. And then, the voice returns, cutting through the noise like a steady flame. Pharaoh. Fear is the gatekeeper. It stands at the threshold of every meaningful step you'll take. Its job is not to stop you, but to test you. Fear asks if you're willing to move forward despite its presence. It doesn't need to disappear for you to act. You only need to remember this. Fear is a companion, not a master. I listen carefully, trying to absorb the words. Fear. A companion. I've always thought of it as an enemy, something to fight or overcome. Fear only has the power you give it, the voice continues. When you treat it as an enemy, it grows stronger, feeding on your resistance. But when you see it for what it is, a signal, a challenge, you take back control. What does your fear tell you, Pharaoh? I sit with the question, breathing through the tightness in my chest. My fear tells me I'm stepping into something unknown, something uncertain. It tells me there's risk, that I might fail, that I might fall, but it also tells me something else. If I'm afraid, it means I'm standing on the edge of something important. So what now, I ask? How do I move forward when the fear is still there? The voice softens, becoming almost reassuring. You don't need to banish fear. You only need to act in spite of it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to move forward with it by your side. The first step is always the hardest because it's where fear screams the loudest. But once you take it, the voice of fear will quiet. I nod, even though the fear hasn't left me. I understand now. It might never leave completely, but I don't have to wait for it to go away. I can take a step anyway. Guided exercise. Take a moment to reflect on something that scares you, a step you've been avoiding because of fear. Write it down. Then beside it, write one small action you can take today to move closer to it. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself. Fear does not control me. I act with courage, even when fear is present. I am stronger than my doubt. The voice quiets, leaving me alone once again. But this time, the silence doesn't feel heavy. It feels alive, like a pause before the next move. Fear still lingers, but it no longer feels like a chain. It feels like a shadow, something I can walk with, something I can move beyond. I take a breath. Then I take the step end of chapter 3. 4. Discovering the light. Within, the step has been taken. It may have been small, almost imperceptible to the outside world, but I know what it means. It's the beginning of something greater, a path I've long felt, but could never quite see. For a moment, I feel a sense of relief, even pride. But then, just as quickly, doubt returns. Was it the right step? What if it doesn't lead anywhere? The questions circle, threatening to pull me back. And then, the voice returns, steady and calm, as if it's been waiting. Pharaoh, the path ahead isn't about knowing every turn or destination. It's about trusting the light within you to guide the way. That light has always been there. But you've spent so long searching for answers outside yourself that you've forgotten to look within. Now is the time to turn inward. Your answers are waiting there. I close my eyes, trying to focus on the words. I've heard people talk about finding answers within, but it's always felt abstract, like chasing something I can't grasp. How do I find it? I ask, the question heavier than I expected. How do I know what my light even is? The voice doesn't hesitate. The light within you is your essence, Pharaoh. It's the part of you that knows your truth, that feels aligned and alive when you're walking the right path. You felt it before, in moments of clarity, in times when you acted from love, courage, or compassion. The light isn't something you need to find. It's something you need to remember. I let the words settle. Memories surface, moments when I felt alive, connected, certain of who I was and what I was meant to do. They feel distant now, like glimpses of another life, but they're there. How do I remember? I ask, my voice quieter now. By listening, the voice replies, the world is noisy. Pharaoh, it distracts you, pulls you away from yourself. But when you allow silence, when you truly listen, you'll hear the light speak. It's not loud, it's not demanding, but it's there, always waiting for you to notice. Silence. I sit with it, unsure of what I'm supposed to feel or hear. At first, there's nothing, just the quiet hum of the world around me. But as I breathe, as I let go of the need for an answer, something shifts. It's not a voice, not a thought, more like a feeling a soft warmth in my chest. "That's it," the voice says, as if reading my mind. "That's your light. It doesn't need to be big or overwhelming. It only needs to be real. The more you listen, the stronger it will grow. Trust it. Pharaoh, it will guide you one step at a time." Guided exercise. Take a moment to sit in stillness. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. With each inhale, imagine a small light glowing in your chest. With each exhale, let it grow warmer, brighter. Ask yourself, what does this light feel like? What is it trying to tell me? Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, "The light within me is my truth. I trust it to guide me, step by step." When I open my eyes, the room looks the same, but something inside me has shifted. The light is still small, but it's there. And for the first time, I feel like I can follow it. End of chapter 5, trusting the journey. The light is still faint, a quiet warmth inside me. It doesn't scream or demand attention. It simply exists. For the first time, I feel the pull to follow it, though I don't know where it will lead. Doubt lingers in the background, but something stronger is growing. A sense of trust. "Pharaoh," the voice speaks again, calm and steady. "The light within you will always guide you, but it's up to you to listen. This journey will not reveal its destination all at once. It's like walking through fog. You'll only see the next step ahead, but trust this. Every step you take will bring you closer to the truth." I nod, even though the path feels unclear. But what if I make the wrong choice? I ask. What if I take the wrong step? "There are no wrong steps," the voice replies. "Every choice, every action will teach you something. Even when it feels like you've strayed from the path, you're still moving forward. The journey isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Trust that the light within you knows the way, even when you don't." I take a deep breath, letting the words sink in. It's a strange thought, trusting something I can't see, something I can only feel. But the alternative, staying where I am, letting fear keep me frozen, is no longer an option. I've been still for too long. Trust isn't built overnight. The voice continues. It grows with each step you take. The more you act in alignment with your light, the stronger that trust becomes. So ask yourself, Pharaoh, what is the next step? Not the whole journey, just the next small action you can take to honor your light. I pause, searching within myself. The answer isn't immediate, but it comes. A simple idea, small but clear. I don't need to leap forward. I just need to move, even if it's only an inch. "Good," the voice says, as though it knows my thoughts. That's all it takes. Trust isn't about knowing, it's about doing. And as you take each step, the path will unfold before you. Guided exercise. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, what is one small step I can take today to honor my light? It doesn't need to be grand or life-changing. It could be as simple as choosing kindness, letting go of a small fear, or taking 5 minutes to reflect, write it down, and commit to it. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, I trust the light within me to guide my steps. I don't need to see the whole path to take the next one. I open my eyes and feel the tiniest shift. The journey ahead still feels uncertain, but I understand now that I don't need to see the whole map. All I need is to take the next step and trust that it's enough. 6. Overcoming resistance. The next step has been taken, small but significant. For a moment I feel a sense of accomplishment, a quiet pride that I've moved forward. But almost as quickly, resistance begins to creep in. Doubts, fears, and old habits rise like a tide, pulling at me, whispering, "Go back. This is too much. Who are you to walk this path?" I feel the weight of it, like an invisible force trying to hold me in place. And then, the voice returns, cutting through the noise. "Pharaoh, resistance is a part of every journey. It appears the moment you step into something greater, because it's easier to stay where you've always been. But remember this, resistance isn't a sign to stop. It's proof that you're moving forward." I let those words settle for a moment. But what if it's right? I ask. What if I can't do this? What if I'm not ready? The voice remains calm, steady. Resistance speaks in the language of fear, Pharaoh. It will tell you every reason why you're not enough, why you should turn back. But resistance only has power if you listen to it. The key is not to fight it, but to see it for what it is, a shadow, not the truth. The truth lies in the light within you. I close my eyes, breathing deeply. The weight of resistance still presses against me, but something shifts as I hear the voice's words. Resistance isn't an enemy. It's a test of my will, my trust, my determination. How do I move past it? I ask. You don't move past it, the voice says. You move through it. Resistance is like a storm. It feels overwhelming, but it can't last forever. When you take a step forward, even when resistance is loud, you prove to yourself that it doesn't control you. Every step you take weakens its grip. The only way out is through. I sit with those words, feeling both the weight of resistance and the possibility of breaking free from it. It won't be easy, but I know now that I have the strength to move forward, even when the path feels heavy. Remember this, Pharaoh, the voice says. Every step you take in the face of resistance is an act of courage. And courage isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, step by step, moment by moment. Trust yourself. You are stronger than you know. A guided exercise. Think of a moment in your life when you faced resistance but chose to move forward anyway. How did it feel to take that step? Write it down and reflect on the strength you showed in that moment. Then identify one area of resistance you're facing now. What is one small action you can take to move through it today? Affirmation. Repeat to yourself. Resistance is not my master. I move forward with courage and trust. I am stronger than the storm. The resistance doesn't disappear, but it feels lighter now. Less like a wall and more like a cloud I can walk through. I take another breath, and then I take another step. End of chapter 7. Listening to the whisper. The storm of resistance fades, and in its place, I find silence. It's not the empty kind of silence that feels heavy or uncertain, but something else. Something alive, waiting. I sit with it, unsure of what to expect, when a thought rises within me. What comes next? The voice returns, softer now, almost a whisper. Pharaoh, the next step is to listen. The light within you speaks, but it does so quietly, gently. The world shouts, demands, and distracts. But your truth will never compete for your attention. It waits for you to notice. I pause, breathing deeply. Listening has never come easily to me. The noise of the world, the noise in my own mind. It all feels so loud, but the voice is right. If I want to hear the light, I need to create space for it. How do I listen? I ask, my voice quieter now. By being still, the voice replies. Stillness is where the light speaks. It's not about emptying your mind or forcing silence. It's about allowing thoughts to come and go without holding on to them, allowing the world to fade into the background. When you stop searching for the answer, it will reveal itself. I close my eyes and breathe, focusing on the rhythm of the air moving in and out of my body. At first, all I hear is the noise, the hum of the world, the clutter of my thoughts. But slowly, as I let go, the noise begins to fade, and in its place, I feel something. Subtle, almost imperceptible, like a whisper at the edge of my awareness. That's it, the voice says, encouraging. The whisper of your light isn't loud or forceful, but it's real. It will guide you if you trust it. What does it tell you, Pharaoh? I sit with the question, allowing the whisper to grow. It doesn't come in words, not exactly. It feels more like a knowing, a gentle nudge in a certain direction. It's quiet, but unmistakable. And for the first time, I realize I don't need the whole answer. I just need to trust this feeling. You found it, the voice continues. That whisper is your compass, your guide. It will never lead you astray. The more you listen, the clearer it will become. But remember, Pharaoh, listening is not a one-time act. It's a practice, a habit. Return to it often. Let it guide you, step by step. Guided exercise. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and take 5 slow, deep breaths. Let your thoughts come and go without holding on to them. Ask yourself, what is my light trying to tell me? Don't force an answer. Just notice whatever arises. It might be a feeling, a thought, or a simple sense of direction. Trust what comes. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself. I trust the whisper of my light. It speaks my truth, and I will listen. When I open my eyes, the world feels softer, quieter. The whisper hasn't given me all the answers, but it's given me enough. I take another step, this time with more trust than fear. End of Chapter 8. Walking in alignment. The whisper of the light feels clearer now, like a quiet current running through me. It's subtle but steady, and for the first time, I feel a sense of direction. Not from the outside, but from within. The steps I've taken feel less uncertain, as though each one aligns me more deeply with something true, something real. But even as I move forward, doubt lingers at the edges of my mind. The familiar questions creep in. Am I doing this right? What if I'm still lost? The voice returns, calm and steady as always. Pharaoh. Alignment isn't about perfection. It's not about never doubting or never questioning. Alignment is about walking in truth even when doubt whispers. It's about choosing to act in harmony with the light within you, step by step. Each step you take in alignment strengthens your path, and even when you stumble, the light will guide you back. I take a deep breath, letting those words settle. The idea of alignment feels comforting but also challenging. What does it mean to walk in alignment? I ask. It means listening to the light and acting on it, the voice replies. It means choosing actions, thoughts, and words that reflect your truth. It's not about getting it right every time. It's about staying connected to your inner compass, and course correcting when you drift. Alignment isn't rigid, it's fluid. It allows for mistakes, but it also calls for honesty and responsibility. The thought feels both freeing and grounding. I don't have to have it all figured out, but I do need to show up. I do need to stay honest with myself. And what happens when I fall out of alignment? I ask. The voice responds, gentle but firm. You will fall out of alignment. Pharaoh, it's part of being human. The world will pull at you. Distractions will tempt you, and fear will try to guide your steps. But when you notice it, when you feel that disconnection, that's your cue to return. Your light is always there, waiting for you. Realignment is simply a choice. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. I nod, understanding now that alignment isn't a destination. It's a practice, a way of being. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be willing to return to my truth again and again. Chapter 9. Embracing the unknown. The path ahead stretches before me, hazy and uncertain. I've taken steps, felt the light within me, and even trusted it to guide my way. But the further I walk, the more I realize how little I know. The unknown looms ahead, vast and silent, and for a moment, it feels overwhelming. What happens next? I ask, almost whispering. The voice answers, steady as ever. Pharaoh, the unknown is not your enemy. It is the space where possibility lives. The light within you doesn't need to know the entire path. It only needs to illuminate the next step. Your job is not to control the journey, but to embrace it, to trust that the unknown holds what you need, even if you can't yet see it. I let out a slow breath, trying to absorb the words. Trusting the unknown feels impossible at times. My mind wants certainty, a map, a guarantee that the steps I take will lead somewhere meaningful. How do I trust something I can't see? I ask. The voice softens, as though it understands my hesitation. You trust the unknown the same way you trust the light within you. By surrendering the need to control, Certainty is a comfort the world has taught you to crave, but it's also a cage. When you cling to certainty, you close yourself off to the possibilities the unknown holds. Trust isn't about knowing, it's about allowing. I sit with those words, feeling the weight of them. The idea of surrendering to the unknown feels both terrifying and freeing. But what if I fail? I ask. What if the unknown leads me somewhere I don't want to be? Failure is a teacher, not a destination, the voice replies. Even when the unknown leads you to challenges or obstacles, those moments are part of your journey. They shape you, strengthen you, and guide you toward deeper truths. The unknown will not always be easy, but it will always be necessary. Trust that it holds exactly what you need, even if you don't yet understand it. I nod slowly, feeling a small shift within me. The fear of the unknown doesn't disappear, but it feels less like a barrier and more like an invitation. Pharaoh, the voice continues. The unknown is where transformation happens. It's where you discover parts of yourself you didn't know existed. Embracing it doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means you'll walk forward anyway, letting the light within you guide your way. Remember, the unknown isn't empty. It's full of potential, waiting for you to step into it. Guided exercise. Take a moment to reflect on something unknown in your life right now. A decision, a path, or a question you've been avoiding because of uncertainty. Write it down. Then ask yourself, what is one small step I can take toward this unknown, trusting that it holds what I need? Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, I trust the unknown as a space of possibility. I am guided by my light, even in uncertainty. As I open my eyes, the unknown still stretches ahead, vast and uncertain. But now it feels less like a void and more like an open field. I don't know where the path will lead, but I know I'm ready to walk at end of Chapter 9. Chapter 10, Strength and Vulnerability. The unknown stretches before me, but as I take steps forward, I begin to notice something unexpected. A sense of exposure. Walking this path, guided by my light, feels raw, as though I've shed the armor I've worn for so long. It's freeing, but also unsettling. I pause, unsure of how to move forward, and ask, why does this feel so hard? Why does it feel like the closer I get to my truth, the more exposed I become? The voice returns, calm and steady. Pharaoh, walking in truth requires vulnerability. Vulnerability is the willingness to be seen as you truly are, without masks or defenses. It's the courage to let the world see your light, even when it feels risky. The armor you've carried has kept you safe, but it has also kept you small. Now is the time to let it go. I take a deep breath, letting the words sink in. Vulnerability has always felt like weakness to me, something to avoid. But as I reflect, I realize that every meaningful moment in my life has required me to be vulnerable, to open myself, to risk failure, to show up fully. Vulnerability feels dangerous because it exposes your heart, the voice continues, but it is also where your strength lies. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you let your light shine in its purest form. You show the world who you truly are, and in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. The thought resonates deeply, but fear lingers. What if I'm rejected? What if my light isn't enough? Pharaoh, the voice replies, firm but kind. Your light is not meant for everyone. Some will embrace it, and others will turn away. That's not your burden to carry. Your only responsibility is to let your light shine, to walk your path with integrity and truth. Vulnerability is not about being accepted by others. It's about accepting yourself. I feel a quiet resolve growing within me, a willingness to stand in my truth, even if it feels uncomfortable. Vulnerability may expose me, but it also frees me. How do I practice it, I ask? By showing up fully, the voice answers. Speak your truth, even when it trembles. Take actions aligned with your light, even when fear whispers in your ear. Vulnerability is a practice, not a single act. The more you embrace it, the stronger it becomes. And remember, Pharaoh, you are never truly alone. Your light will always guide you. Guided exercise. Think of one area in your life where you've been hiding behind armor, whether it's in your relationships, your work, or how you show up for yourself, write it down. Then ask yourself, what is one small way I can show up more vulnerably in this area? Commit to taking that step today. Affirmation, repeat to yourself, my vulnerability is my strength. I show up fully, guided by my truth and my light. As I open my eyes, I feel the weight of the armor I've carried for so long. It has protected me, but it has also limited me. Slowly, I let it fall away. I take another step, unguarded and vulnerable, but also freer than I've felt in a long time. Chapter 11, The Power of Connection. As I walk forward, unguarded and guided by my light, I begin to notice something I hadn't seen before. The path ahead is no longer just mine. Alongside it, I see other lights. Faint at first, but growing stronger as I move closer. It feels strange at first, seeing others walking their own journeys. For so long I felt alone in this process, as though my path was separate, my struggles unique. But now I realize I'm not the only one. Pharaoh, the voice speaks again, calm and warm. The light within you connects to the light in others. You were never meant to walk this journey alone. The strength you find in yourself can inspire others, just as their light can strengthen yours. Connection is part of the path. I stop, reflecting on those words. But how can I connect with others? I ask. What if they don't understand my journey? What if I don't understand theirs? Connection doesn't require understanding, the voice replies. It requires presence. When you see others as they truly are, without judgment, without fear, you honor their light as well as your own. Connection isn't about agreement. It's about recognition. It's about saying, I see you, I honor you. Your light matters. The thought feels both comforting and challenging. Connection has always felt fragile to me, something that can be broken by differences, misunderstandings, or fear. But now, I see it differently. Connection isn't about perfection, it's about presence. So how do I practice this? I ask. The voice answers, steady and sure. Begin by being present with yourself. The more deeply you connect with your own light, the more you'll recognize it in others. Then approach those around you with curiosity and kindness. Speak with honesty, listen with intention, and let your actions reflect your light. Connection grows when you're willing to show up fully, both for yourself and for others. I let those words settle, thinking about the relationships in my life, the ones I cherish, the ones I've avoided, and the ones I've lost. For the first time, I see them not as obstacles or distractions, but as opportunities. Each connection is a chance to strengthen my light and theirs. Pharaoh, the voice continues, the world can be transformed through connection. When you honor the light in others, you create ripples that reach far beyond what you can see. Your light inspires theirs, and together, those lights grow brighter. Connection isn't just a part of the journey. It's a force that multiplies the power of your light. Guided exercise. Think of someone in your life with whom you want to deepen your connection. Write their name down and reflect on how you can honor their light. Is it through a kind word, a moment of understanding, or simply being present with them? Take one action today to strengthen that connection. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, I honor the light in myself and in others. Through connection, my light grows stronger. As I open my eyes, I feel a new sense of purpose. The journey ahead isn't just about me, it's about the connections I make along the way. Each step I take, each light I honor, brings me closer to something greater than myself. Connection grows when you're willing to show up fully, both for yourself and for others. I let those words settle, thinking about the relationships in my life, the ones I cherish, the ones I've avoided, and the ones I've lost. For the first time, I see them not as obstacles or distractions, but as opportunities. Each connection is a chance to strengthen my light and theirs. Pharaoh, the voice continues, the world can be transformed through connection. When you honor the light in others, you create ripples that reach far beyond what you can see. Your light inspires theirs, and together, those lights grow brighter. Connection isn't just a part of the journey. It's a force that multiplies the power of your light. Guided exercise. Think of someone in your life with whom you want to deepen your connection. Write their name down and reflect on how you can honor their light. Is it through a kind word, a moment of understanding, or simply being present with them? Take one action today to strengthen that connection. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, I honor the light in myself and in others. Through connection, my light grows stronger. As I open my eyes, I feel a new sense of purpose. The journey ahead isn't just about me. It's about the connections I make along the way. Each step I take, each light I honor, brings me closer to something greater than myself. End of chapter 11. Chapter 12. Walking through shadows. The connections I've begun to honor feel like a thread weaving through my journey, binding it with meaning. But as I move forward, I notice something new, a presence, quiet but heavy, lingering in the background. It's not resistance, not doubt. It feels deeper, darker, a shadow. I pause, unsure of what I'm feeling, and ask, what is this? Why does it feel like the light is being pulled away? The voice returns, calm as always. Pharaoh, shadows are a part of the journey. They are not separate from the light. They exist because of it. The brighter your light shines, the more clearly you'll see the shadows within yourself. But hear this, shadows are not something to fear. They are something to face. I take a deep breath, trying to understand. What do you mean? Face them. Aren't shadows meant to be avoided, pushed away? The voice softens. No, Pharaoh, shadows are not your enemy. They are the parts of yourself that have been hidden, ignored, or forgotten. They hold your pain, your fear, your anger, but they also hold your potential for healing. To walk in your light, you must walk through your shadows. The words feel heavy, but true. I've spent so much of my life avoiding my shadows, pretending they weren't there. The thought of facing them feels overwhelming. But what if they're too much? What if they consume me? They won't, the voice replies firmly. Your light is stronger than any shadow you carry. Facing your shadows doesn't mean letting them control you. It means bringing them into the light so they can be understood and released. The more you resist them, the more power they hold. But when you face them with compassion, they lose their grip on you. I sit with that, breathing deeply. My shadows have always felt like something to run from, but now I see them differently. They are a part of me, but they don't define me. They are the pain I've carried, but they also hold the key to my growth. So how do I begin? I ask. The voice responds gently. Begin by noticing. When a shadow rises, whether it's fear, anger, or doubt, don't push it away. Sit with it. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What part of me needs healing? Shadows are not here to hurt you, Pharaoh. They're here to guide you to the parts of yourself that need your light the most. The thought feels daunting, but also freeing. I don't have to run anymore. I can face my shadows and still move forward. Guided exercise. Take a quiet moment to reflect on a shadow you've been avoiding, something that brings discomfort or pain. Write it down. Then ask yourself, what is this shadow trying to show me? What part of me needs healing or attention? Breathe deeply as you sit with the answers, and remind yourself that your light is stronger than your shadow. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, I face my shadows with compassion and courage. My light is stronger than any darkness. As I open my eyes, the heaviness of the shadow begins to lift. It's still there, but it feels less overwhelming now. For the first time, I see it not as a threat, but as a part of my journey. I take a step forward through the shadow and into the light. End of chapter 12. Chapter 13. The strength of surrender. As I step through the shadow, a new understanding begins to unfold. The journey has been filled with steps, forward, backward, uncertain. But now I realize something deeper. The path isn't just about moving forward, it's about letting go. I pause, reflecting on all the ways I've tried to control the journey, forcing answers, searching for certainty, resisting the unknown. It feels exhausting, like trying to hold on to something that was never meant to be held. The voice returns, gentle but firm. Pharaoh, true strength is not in holding on, it's in surrender. Surrender is not giving up, it's giving over. It's trusting that the light within you and the path before you will guide you without your need to control every step. The tighter you hold, the more you block the flow. But when you release, you allow the journey to unfold as it's meant to. The words feel both challenging and freeing. But what if letting go means losing my way? I ask. The voice responds, steady and certain. Letting go doesn't mean losing your way. It means trusting that the way will find you. Surrender isn't about inaction, it's about alignment. When you surrender, you stop fighting the current and begin to flow with it. Your light knows the way, trust it. I take a deep breath, letting those words settle. Surrender has always felt like weakness to me, like giving up control. But now I see it differently. It's not about weakness, it's about faith. Faith in the light, faith in the path, and faith in myself. How do I surrender? I ask, my voice quieter now. Start with this moment. The voice replies. Release the need to know what's next. Release the need to have all the answers. Breathe into the present and trust that it holds everything you need. Surrender isn't a single act, it's a practice. Every time you let go, you create space for the light to guide you. I close my eyes, breathing deeply. For the first time, I feel the weight of control lifting, replaced by a quiet sense of trust. I don't need to have all the answers. I don't need to see the whole path. I just need to allow it to unfold. Pharaoh, the voice continues, surrender is not the end of strength, it's the beginning. When you release what no longer serves you, you make room for what truly does. Trust the process, trust yourself, and trust the light to carry you forward. Guided exercise. Take a quiet moment to reflect on something you've been trying to control, whether it's a situation, a relationship, or your own journey. Write it down. Then, ask yourself, what would it feel like to release this? How can I trust the process instead of forcing it? Take a deep breath and imagine yourself letting it go, allowing the light to guide the way. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, I surrender to the light within me. I release control and trust the journey to unfold as it's meant to. As I open my eyes, a sense of peace washes over me. The path ahead is still unknown, but it feels lighter now, as though I'm no longer walking alone. I take another step, not with force, but with trust. End. Chapter 14. The expansion of light. With each step, the path feels less like a struggle and more like a flow. There's a quiet rhythm to it now, as if the act of walking has become an expression of trust, a partnership between myself and the light within me. The world around me seems to respond. The shadows that once loomed so large now feel smaller, less overwhelming. The connections I've nurtured feel stronger, more vibrant, and my light, it feels bigger, brighter. Pharaoh, the voice speaks again, soft but powerful. The light within you was never meant to stay small. It was meant to expand, to touch the lives of others and grow through connection. Your journey has always been about more than just you. It's about what your light can bring to the world. The words resonate deeply, stirring something inside me. But how do I expand my light? I ask. How do I make a difference when the world feels so vast? By showing up fully, the voice replies. Your light grows every time you act with intention, every time you speak from truth, every time you offer kindness or love. Expansion doesn't require grand gestures, it requires presence. When you bring your light into each moment, it ripples outward in ways you may never see, but will always feel. I pause, reflecting on those words. The idea of expansion feels daunting, but the voice's guidance simplifies it. It's not about changing the entire world at once. It's about being present, moment by moment, and letting my actions reflect my light. But what if I fail? I ask. What if my light isn't enough to make a difference? The voice remains steady. Pharaoh, your light is always enough. Even the smallest flicker of light can illuminate the darkest room. Expansion isn't about perfection or control. It's about trust. Trust that your light, no matter how small it may feel, has the power to inspire, to heal, and to transform. Every act of light you share creates a ripple that touches the world. I nod slowly, feeling a quiet sense of purpose. Expansion doesn't mean doing more. It means being more present, more authentic, more aligned with my truth. So where do I begin? I ask. Begin here, the voice answers, with this moment. With the next word you speak, the next step you take, the next person you meet, bring your light to this moment, and the rest will follow. Expansion is not something you force, it's something you allow. Trust that your light will reach where it's needed most. Guided exercise. Take a moment to reflect on how your light can touch others today. Write down one small way you can bring your light into the world, through kindness, patience, or simply being present. Commit to that action, and trust that it will create ripples far beyond what you can see. Affirmation, repeat to yourself. My light expands with every action I take in truth and love. I trust my light to touch the world in ways I cannot see. As I open my eyes, the path ahead feels different. It's no longer just mine. It feels connected to something larger, something greater than myself. My light is not just for me, it's for the world. And with that understanding, I take another step, ready to share it. End of chapter 14. 15. The legacy of light. The path I've walked has been full of lessons. Steps taken with uncertainty, shadows faced with courage, and connections formed with love. As I move forward, the light within me feels steady and strong. It's no longer a whisper, but a guiding presence. One that shapes not only my journey, but the world around me. Pharaoh, the voice speaks again, steady as ever. Your light has grown, but its purpose doesn't end with you. The journey you've walked is not just for your own awakening, it's for the awakening of others. Your light is a legacy, a gift that continues to ripple outward long after your steps are taken. The words stir something deep within me. A legacy, I repeat, feeling the weight of it. But how do I leave a legacy? How do I make sure my light continues even when I'm gone? The voice softens, reassuring. A legacy of light isn't built in grand gestures or monumental acts. It's created in the moments you choose to live in truth and love. It's in the kindness you offer, the wisdom you share, and the lives you touch. Your legacy isn't something you control. It's something you cultivate through presence, action, and connection. Every light you ignite in another becomes a part of your legacy. I take a deep breath, letting those words settle. The idea of leaving a legacy once felt overwhelming, but now it feels simpler, more tangible. My legacy isn't something far away. It's in every step I take, every choice I make. But what if I don't see the impact of my actions, I ask? What if my light feels small compared to the world's darkness? Pharaoh, the voice replies firmly. Even the smallest light can change the course of a life, and every life you touch creates ripples that stretch further than you'll ever see. Your job is not to measure the impact of your light. It's to trust that it makes a difference. Let your light be the seed that grows in ways you may never witness. The thought fills me with quiet resolve. I don't need to see the full picture. I only need to show up, to plant seeds of light wherever I go, and to trust that they'll bloom in time. How do I begin building this legacy? I ask. By living in alignment with your truth, the voice answers. By honoring your light and sharing it freely, your legacy is created in every moment you choose love over fear, compassion over judgment, and truth over comfort. It begins now with the next step you take. Guided exercise. Reflect on the legacy of light you wish to leave. Ask yourself, what values do I want to embody? What actions can I take today to create ripples of light in the world? Write down 3 small ways you can share your light with others and commit to one action today. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, my light is my legacy. Every action I take in love and truth leaves a lasting ripple of light in the world. As I open my eyes, the path feels both familiar and new. I see now that every step I take, every choice I make, adds to something greater than myself. My light doesn't end with me, it continues, through the connections I form and the seeds I plant along the way. With that understanding, I take the next step, not just for myself, but for the world I'm helping to create. End of Chapter 16. Returning to the light. The journey feels different now. The steps I've taken, the shadows I've faced, and the connections I've nurtured have all brought me to this moment. The path no longer feels uncertain. It feels alive, vibrant, as though each step is part of a greater rhythm. But something unexpected begins to stir within me, a quiet longing. What is this feeling? I ask, not entirely sure how to name it. The voice returns, steady and knowing. Pharaoh, this is the call to return. Every journey leads back to where it began. But when you return, you are not the same. The light within you has grown. Your perspective has shifted, and the world you once knew will look different now. This is the final step, returning to the light, fully and completely. I pause, breathing deeply. The idea of returning feels both comforting and unfamiliar. What does it mean to return to the light? I ask. To return to the light is to come home to yourself, the voice replies. It's the realization that the journey wasn't about reaching something outside of you. It was about awakening to what has always been within, the light you sought, the answers you searched for, the path you walked. They were all leading you back to your own truth. The words resonate deeply. I think back to the beginning of this journey, to the questions I carried and the doubts that held me back. I was searching for something I thought I didn't have, something distant and unattainable. But now I see it clearly. The light I sought was always here, waiting for me to notice. So what happens now? I ask. If the journey has brought me back to myself, what comes next? Now, Pharaoh, you live as the light, the voice says. You embody the lessons you've learned, the strength you've cultivated, and the truth you've discovered. The journey doesn't end here. It begins anew, each moment an opportunity to shine, to grow, and to inspire. Returning to the light isn't a conclusion, it's a way of being. I nod, feeling a quiet resolve settle within me. The journey has changed me, but it hasn't ended. I've come home to myself, but the path ahead still calls, offering new opportunities to live in alignment with my truth. Pharaoh, the voice continues, the light within you is endless. It will guide you through every step, every challenge, and every moment of your life. Trust it, honor it, and let it shine for all to see. You are not just a seeker of the light. You are the light. Guided exercise. Take a moment to reflect on the journey you've walked. Write down 3 lessons you've learned about yourself and your light. Then ask yourself, how can I embody these lessons in my daily life? Commit to one action today that reflects the truth of who you are. Affirmation. Repeat to yourself, I am the light. I embody truth, love, and courage in all that I do. My light is endless, and it shines through every step I take. As I open my eyes, the path before me feels both familiar and new. The light within me burns brighter than ever. Not as something I need to find, but as something I carry. The journey may lead me in many directions, but one truth remains. I am the light, and so I take the next step, not searching, not striving, but simply shining. End of Chapter 16. The Eternal Journey. The steps I've taken, the shadows I've faced, and the light I've embraced have brought me to this moment, a place of clarity, peace, and purpose. Yet, as I look ahead, I realize something profound. The journey is never truly over. The light I've found within myself isn't a destination. It's a beginning, a continuous unfolding of truth and possibility. The voice returns, soft yet powerful, as though it's always been here. Pharaoh, the journey you've walked is one of awakening, but it doesn't end here. Every step you take, every moment you live, is an opportunity to deepen your connection to the light. This is the eternal journey, the practice of being, growing, and sharing your light with the world. I take a deep breath, letting the words resonate. What if I lose my way again? I ask. What if I forget everything I've learned? You, the voice, responds gently with unwavering assurance. You may stumble, Pharaoh, you may forget, and you may doubt, but the light within you will never leave. It's not something you can lose. It's a part of you, as natural as your breath, as constant as your heartbeat. When you feel lost, simply pause. Breathe. Remember, the light will always guide you home. I close my eyes, feeling the truth of those words. The path ahead is endless, stretching into the unknown, but it no longer feels daunting. It feels alive, vibrant, full of possibility. The lessons I've learned and the truths I've uncovered will continue to shape me. But they are not the end of my growth. They are the foundation for something greater. Pharaoh, the voice says one last time, steady and clear. Your light is a gift to the world. Walk with it boldly, share it freely, and know that every step you take, no matter how small, contributes to the awakening of something greater than yourself. You are the light, and the light is infinite. Trust it, live it, be it. I open my eyes, and the path stretches before me. It's no longer a mystery to solve or a challenge to overcome. It's an invitation to live, to love, and to shine. The journey continues, not as a quest for something outside of me, but as a practice of returning to the light within. And with every step I take, I carry that light forward, trusting it to guide me and to illuminate the world around me. This is not the end. This is where the real journey begins. Final reflection. Take a moment to breathe deeply and reflect on your own journey. Ask yourself, what has this path taught me about my light? How can I carry these lessons forward in my daily life? Write down one commitment you will make to honor your light and let it shine. Final affirmation. Repeat to yourself, I am the light and the light is endless. With each step I take, I trust my truth, embrace my journey, and illuminate the world around me. Thank you for walking this path. The light within you is a gift to the world. Trust it, live it, and continue to let it shine. Your light isn't just for you, it's for the world. Now that you've discovered it, ask yourself, what will you do today to share it? How will you bring your unique light into the lives of those around you? Start small, but start now. The world is waiting for you. End of The Light Within, Book 1, written by Pharaoh B.